Inside a darkened house, an armed fugitive has a terrified family backed into a corner. Positioned 75 feet away, SWAT sniper Jared Tatahara is staring down the sights of his rifle. He has a green light. Lethal force is authorized. But just as he settles his breathing, the radio crackles with a terrifying update. One of the male hostages inside the house looks almost exactly like the shooter. The suspect and the captive share the same general build, a slightly rounded face, and a wider mouth. Through a scope at night, distinguishing them is incredibly difficult. When that front door eventually opens, Tatahara has less than 1 second to verify he's aiming at the right man before pulling the trigger. This represents the ultimate risk in tactical law enforcement, a moment where a single identification error results in the death of an innocent hostage. To understand how the stakes got this high, we have to look back 48 hours. The suspect, Joseph Manhard, was in the middle of a total mental collapse driven by a recent breakup, a loss of stable housing, and heavy drug use. The crisis started when he kidnapped his ex-girlfriend, assaulted her, and threatened to take her life. She eventually managed to escape, prompting police to issue an immediate warrant for his arrest. But Manhard vanished. Armed and increasingly volatile, he began visiting family members, talking about tying up loose ends, and hunting down anyone he felt had wronged him. When patrol units finally spotted him the next night, a frantic chase began. Manhard managed to briefly lose his pursuers, abandoning his car right on the local train tracks to continue on foot. He didn't stay on foot for long. He walked up to a woman sitting inside a white Kia Optima, asked her for a lighter, and then shoved a gun through the window. He fired a shot as she ran for her life, stealing the car. Back behind the wheel, he led officers on a high-speed pursuit down the highway, swerving wildly across lanes to dodge traffic, until police managed to deploy spike strips directly in his path. Manhard's violence stripped away the possibility of a standard arrest. Officers were now forced to treat him as a lethal threat that had to be neutralized. With his stolen car disabled, Manhard bolted across the freeway and hopped a fence into a quiet residential neighborhood where families were fast asleep. Police flooded the area, establishing a square-mile containment perimeter using dozens of officers on the ground and heavy aerial support from above. Despite the massive perimeter, Manhard found a single vulnerability. He slipped through an unlocked basement window into the Samuelson family home. Officers searching the streets heard a single gunshot echo in the distance. But it wasn't until one of the daughters managed to sneak out the back door and dial 911 that police realized the manhunt had collapsed into a barricaded hostage crisis. SWAT teams established contact, but the negotiations immediately felt wrong. Manhard never asked for cash, a getaway car, or safe passage. He simply refused to let anyone leave. The absence of demands changed the tactical calculus. Without a desire for money or escape, Manhard wasn't looking for a way out. He was forcing a final confrontation. You can't negotiate an exchange if the suspect doesn't want anything. With rational dialogue off the table, a precise sniper intervention became the only remaining strategy. Which brings us back to Officer Tatahara in his sniper hide across the street, staring at a house where the killer looks dangerously similar to one of the captives. Desperate to create an opening, negotiators pressed Manhard to bring the hostages to the front door, just to visually confirm they were still alive. It was a carefully constructed trap. That specific doorway provided the only clean line of sight, but this meant zero margin for error. As the door opens, he must instantly compare faces, confirm the target, and pull the trigger in a fraction of a second. The door begins to open. Tatahara steadies his breathing, filters out the identical traits, locks onto Manhard, and takes the shot. In seconds, SWAT units flood the property, pushing past the incapacitated suspect and successfully pulling the remaining family members out of the house. After 48 hours of chaos, multiple crime scenes, and a high-speed pursuit, the entire crisis ended because a single officer had the discipline to verify his target when he had less than a second to be right.